Hello, dear students. Welcome to the English class. In this hour, we will study about the lesson The Happy Man Shirt. This is the Italian folk tale retold in this lesson. And the present lesson, The Happy Man Shirt, talks about happiness of human beings. And here they described happiness as a mental state of human being. It is like a state of mind. Happiness and sadness are state of mind. If you think you are happy, and you are always happy itself. If you think you are sad, in spite of having all the comfortability of the life, you feel that still you are sad, means that thinking makes you sad. Like this, the writer says happiness doesn't lie in the outer world, in this environment, in the outer world than this human being himself. This happiness and sadness are related to his mental ability and related to his mind. That he internally he is happy, means he feels himself as a happy man. Internally he thinks he is sad, means he always a sad man only. This is the idea of this story. They give clarity with the story of the king, and his son was very sad. See, king's son is very sad. How the story starts here? King has only son, Jonash, and his son is sad. Means here, having all the comfortability of life, having all the leading all the luxurious life also, his son is looking very much unhappy. This is what the writer says. Happiness and unhappiness are state of our mind. It is just a thinking. It relates to our mind and mental abilities. So the story gives clarity that happiness doesn't lie in the outer world. It lies inside the human beings, inside his thinking. Here we will go through with the lesson. Once there was a king. He ruled over a very peaceful yet powerful kingdom. Once upon a time there was a king. He ruled over on the powerful kingdom, and he was ruling very peacefully in his kingdom. His people loved and adored him. His people loved the king very much, and they adored means they praised their king very much. All was perfect in his kingdom. All was going smoothly and perfectly in the king's kingdom, except for his son Jonash. But there was a problem with his son Jonash. Then we will see what is the problem. The king's son was very unhappy for no known reason. Here, king's son Jonash always looks unhappy, but for that he don't have any reason here. But simply he looks unhappy. He would always sit in his room staring balcony out of the window over the lands, floorings. Here, always king's son is not very much active. He idly sit in his room staring from the window, staring from the balcony through the window over the lands and frownings. Frownings means whatever the moving things are on the surrounding area. He stares at the moving things on the lands, on the outer world, but he doesn't feel any happiness. Simply he was looking very much unhappy. The king addressed his son. So king come to his son, and king wanted to ask about his unhappiness. So he called his son and he asked, What on earth has upset you, son? Son, what made you so upset? Please tell me that what is it that you will lack? Here king is asking, what made you upset, my son? What is lacking you? Lacking means what do you want? If you tell me means I will bring that thing immediately in front of you. But you don't worry, son. But you don't be unhappy. Like that, king was asking the reason for his unhappiness. The young prince only shrugged that his son is not ready to reveal the reason why he looks very much unhappy. He shrugged means here the prince covered and the prince is unable to tell the reason for his unhappiness. Could there be a girl? So the king is assuming and king is suspecting that for the unhappiness of his son, could it may be a girl, a certain woman that has caught your eyes. He is asking to his son whether you are impressed by a woman. If you are fallen in love with a girl, please tell me her name, and I shall move mountains to have you two married at once. No, my boy, you don't worry. If any girl, in the matter of girl, you are feeling unhappy means, please tell her name. I will bring her immediately in front of you, and I will get married at once along with that girl. I will move the mountains means I will ready to pay anything to bring that girl in front of you. But my boy, you don't worry, you don't be very much sad. Like that, the king tries to convince his son Jonash. No, his son replied, no, it is not a girl who caught my eyes. No, it is not a girl. I didn't know why. I am just so unhappy. No, father, no, majesty, it is not a matter of girl, but simply I am unhappy and I don't know the reason for my sadness or for my unhappiness. The king nodded and walked off. So, king nodded his hand. He too agreed with his son and he walked off that place. If this state of affairs continued, the king feared his son would be die of melancholy fear. See, if this state of mind continues with that boy, small boy Jonash, and king was thinking that this affair, this matter troubled my son continuously means one or another day in fear my son is going to die. So by thinking that his son is going to die with unhappiness in the fear, that king afraid a lot. So he called all the bishops and physicians of his country, of his kingdom. So here, deciding he needed more help, the king issued a decree to have all the top physicians, astrologers and wise men of the kingdom come to him. So decree, Dangura. King needed some more help from the outer people in order to solve the matter with his son. Why his son looks so upset? To solve that matter, he wanted to take the help from the physicians, from the astrologers, from the wise men of his kingdom. So he decreed and he called all those people to his court. When they arrived, the king showed them to his son. They called upon to his court and all the astrologers, physicians, Vaidyaru. Physicians means Vaidyaru. Astrologers and wise men of his kingdom came to his court, and the king showed his son Jonash to these people. After 3 days, the astrologers had finally come up with a solution. See, after observing the matter, thinking over the matter, astrologers come with a solution, and they told the solution to the king. And Your Majesty, the head of astrologers spoke. The head of the astrologers spoke to the king and he said, Your Majesty, we have given the matter a close thought. In order to help your son, you must find a happy man. See, Your Majesty, we inspect the matter very much closely. We observed the problem of your son and we come with a solution. The solution is you must find a happy man. A man that is happy through and through. Through and through means totally he must be happy. Such person you have to find for your son. He is the solution for your son's problem. Then the king raised an eyebrow at this. I must find a happy man. The king raised his eyebrow in surprise. To make my son, I must find a happy man. So he is asking astrologers, can I find a happy man in order to solve the problem of my son? Astrologer says, yes. And when you find the happy man, you must trade his shirt for your son's shirt. Then all will be well. So the king, Majesty, you must find a happy man for your son. And when you find a happy man, you do one thing, that you trade. Trade means you take happy man's shirt and you trade that shirt on your son. Happy man's shirt you have to wear to your son. Then everything will be fine. Everything will be okay. The king agreed and dismissed them. See, all the astrologers said the solution to the king and king also agreed with that solution and he dismissed. He sent them off. So he called in his ambassadors. See, the king called his ambassadors to the throne room and told them to go out and find for him a truly happy man. See, all the ambassadors of his kingdom were called in front of the king and the king ordered them, go and find a truly happy man. Truly, that person must be happy throughout his life. So you must find that person for my son in order to solve this problem. He had noticed he had notices placed all over the kingdom offering a handsome reward to anyone who could find a truly happy man. Along with this, the king announced a handsome rewards, ಬಹುಮಾನಗಳು. He gave an offer, if anyone find a happy man for the king, he is going to give fine awards for that person. Like that he announced throughout his kingdom. The first person to be shown before the king was a priest. So the first person presented before the king as a happy man, he was a priest, Padri. And the king asked to that priest, are you happy? The king's question was short and to the point. See here, the king asked a simple question to the priest, whether you are happy. That priest replied, yes, my lord, I am very happy. The priest replied that, yes, my lord, yes, my king, I am very happy. Then king asked one more question. Well, you are happy means, well, then how would you like to be my minister? Then the king asked one more question. It's okay if you are happy means, if you are appointed as my minister, how could you feel, or are you agreed to be my minister? At this question, the priest perked up, enlightened up. He was enlightened. Perked up means he was filled with more happiness. "Oh, yes, Your Majesty, nothing would bring me greater joy." When king asked the priest to be as his minister, that priest was filled with so much happiness and with that great joy. That priest agreed to become his minister. With this answer by the priest, that king enraged and said, "Are you happy? If you are happy means now you won't be surprised and you won't be filled with joy when I offered you as my minister." So king totally refused priest and he said, "You are not happy at all." Then, well, then king shouted over the priest, "Get thee hence from my place before I have you imprisoned." See, you priest, you just go away from my eyes, from my palace. If you stay any more longer, I just imprison you. Yield means shouted. The king started shouting. The furious means angry king started shouting over the priests, "You are no happy man. You are no happy man so much as a liar. You are just lying that you are a happy man, but you are no longer a happy man and only looking to better yourself out of my castle. Just when I offered you as to be my minister, you just filled with joy. It is not a proper happy man does. If you are happy means you are not enlightened with any offers. So you are just lied in front of me. You are not at all a happy man." So king shouted and sent that priest out of his castle, out of his palace. The search continued. A week went by, and there was news of a neighboring king who was described as a real happy man. See, after some days, still the search was going on for the happy man. After 1 week, and they again found one happy man, and the search was going on for the happy man. Once the king got a news that in the neighboring country king is found as a happy man, as he was described as a happy man. Neighboring king is described as a happy man, as he had a lovely wife and many children. He had no enemies, and he too had a peaceful but powerful kingdom. Thinking this was his solution, the king sent his ambassador to inquire after him. So, after 1 week, again king got a news that his neighboring king was looking a happy man. Why? Because he has wife and many children, and he was also ruling peacefully, and his kingdom was powerful kingdom. So he don't have any enemies also. So that neighboring king was considered as a happy man. The king sent his ambassador to inquire about that king. The ambassador go to the king, and the neighboring king said, "It is true that I have all that I ever want, but I fear that I will die soon and lose it all." See, when the ambassador asked the neighboring king whether you are happy, that neighboring king told to the ambassador that, "Yes, I am happy that unwantedly I got all this royalty, but I am in fear. I am in fear that soon I will die and I am going to lose all this comfortability and royalty in my life. Every night I lie in bed thinking of what I will lose. So every night this fear tortured me, and every night I used to think after my death what things I am going to lose in my life." So, ambassador found that in reality, the neighboring king is also not a happy man. With this answer, the ambassador thought it wise not to take the king's shirt. It is not a wise thing that to take the neighboring king's shirt for their prince. Why? Because the king is also not happy through and through. When he was told the news to the king, the king was furious. When those ambassadors told this matter about neighboring that king was filled with furious, and he was become very much angry. He had no clue what to do next. His son was going to die, sad and depressed, in despair, need of fresh air. The king went off on a hunting trip. So, king became very much angry that he is unable to find a happy man for his son. Why? Because his son, day by day, every day, he was dying with sadness and with depression. So, that king doesn't find any way and any solution for that problem. In despair, ದಾರಿ ಕಾಣದಾಗದೆ. In despair, the king find no other ways for that solution. He wanted to spend his time with fresh air, so the king went off to the hunting to the forest in order to get a fresh air in the forest. In the fields, the king shot at a hare a few meters away, in the forest. When he was hunting, that king shoot a hare. Hare means rabbit. Hare a few meters away from distance, he shoot a rabbit. The arrow only grazed the hare. Arrow was grazing, going towards the hare, and it escaped into the woods. But the hare escaped from that arrow, and it jumped and it ran through the woods. Woods means thick forest. Following quickly, that king followed that rabbit quickly. The king moved far away from the rest of his party, and in the search of that rabbit, king moved away from his party, from his people. After a few minutes, he gave up looking for the hare and made to head back, but suddenly stopped. After searching a lot for that rabbit, when he didn't find that rabbit in that thick forest, in that thick woods, he wanted to get back to his party, get back to his people. So when he going to return from that place, suddenly he was stopped with a voice. There was a noise coming from his left, from the left side of the forest, some noise coming from that stopped the king. As he drew closer, the king realized that it was someone whistling a small tune. King heard from the left side of his forest someone whistling with a small tune, with a melodious tune. Someone was whistling. That was heard by the king. Reaching the noise, he saw a dashingly handsome blonde youth lying in the reeds. When that king searched for the whistle sound and for that noise, where does that sound is coming from, suddenly king saw a dashingly handsome blonde youth lying in the reeds, on the green grass. Handsome youth was lying, and he was whistling with a melodious tune. The lad means the young man. The lad was on his back, gazing up at the many clouds in the sky. The lad was sleeping upwards, and he was gazing, and he was looking towards the sky, cloudy sky, towards the clouds. You there, the boy. The king addressed to the boy, that is, you there. It means, who are you, boy? Tell me, how would you like to be appointed to the highest position in the land as the king's personal advisor? See, when that king saw that boy lying on the green grass upwards to the sky, and he was whistling a very much happy and melodious tune. By seeing that guy, by seeing that lad, the king asked the boy, "Hey, you boy, how would you feel if I appoint you as my personal advisor?" Then the boy says, "Advisor? As your personal advisor?" The youth sat up and stretched his chin. Chin means his chin. He scratched his skin with the fingers and he sat up. Then he said, "Yes, you are going to appoint me as your personal advisor?" And he is thinking over that idea, that offer which was given by the king. And he replied, "Such a problemism position. Sorry, I shall have to pass. I am fine enough as I am." The boy says, "Such a troublesome position. That king's personal advisor, that work is very much a troublesome one. There is a lot of problem in that work. Sorry, I don't want to be with those problems because I am fine now. I am happy now with my work and all. So I don't want to be your personal advisor." Like that, the young boy refused that great opportunity, great offer from the king of his kingdom. So the king was surprised, and the king beamed at the answer. Beamed means surprised at the answer by that boy. "You are the one. Quickly on your feet, boy." "Yes, boy, you are the one person whom I am searching for. You come, you stand on your feet. Come along with me." That king ordered the boy to follow him. He grabbed the youth and ran back to the man and his camp. See, along with that boy, king ran towards his camp, towards his party, and king says, "My son is saved, my son is saved." See, king thought that finally he found a happy man for his son's problem. So he grabbed that young man and he took that young man towards his party, and the king says, "My son is saved." With this, "My son is saved," he turned to the young man and gestured warmly. He turned to the young man and he showed his warm feelings and warm greetings to that young man. And the king says, "You boy may have from me whatever it is your wish, but I need. See, gently that king, with lot of happiness, he looked towards the young boy and he said, "My boy, you are the solution for my son's problem. So whatever you wish, you just ask me. I am ready to give you. But I need." There the king stopped. Why? Because king wanted to ask his shirt from that happy man. But see what happened? The youth looked at the king strangely. "You need what?" When the king stopped, "I need," with that word. After seeing that king is not talking more and talking further, that young boy asked the king with strange manners that, "What do you want from me? What do you need from me?" Then, my son, the prince is dying and only you can save him. Come closer." That king said to that boy, "My son is dying of sadness with unhappiness. You are the person, only you can save my son, so please come closer to me. The king grabbed that youth, smiling his brightest smile, and quickly began to look for the young man's shirt. See, here king was filled with a lot of happiness that he found. He found a happy man for his son. And now that king is ready to ask his shirt from that youth that he is a happy man. But king was surprised when he asked, and when he began to ask for the shirt of that young boy. Suddenly the king stopped. Why? Because his arms drooped to his sides. It means that boy is not wearing any shirt. His arms with weakness, his arms were drooped down. His body looks very much weak. There is no shirt for that young boy. The happy man wore no shirt. That happy man, that young boy was not wearing a shirt. It means the moral of this story is nowhere from this outside, nowhere in this outer world you are going to find happiness. Happiness lies inside our mind. If you think happy means you are always happy. If you think sad means in spite of having all the comfortability also you looks unhappy. The same thing happened. The king's son Jonash was having all the things and comfortability of life, then also he feels sad. But this boy of the forest, young boy of the forest, he doesn't have any comfortability. At least basic needs also he don't have. Then also he feels and he looks very much happy person. It means happiness doesn't lie in the outer world, it lies within the human beings. Okay, dear students, we will stop here. Thank you.